Quick and easy GoPed pipe install for you right here. As you can see, this is an old manifold that was already installed on my GoPed, but I'm swapping pipes off from that GoPed to a new one, so I had to take it off. Normally, I put some RTV red, high temp RTV silicone gasket maker stuff on the back of this manifold. And then here, I put gasket maker all around the edges there. And then finally, I'll kind of line up the gasket, then pop the manifold onto the gasket with the bolts and tighten it up. And that's normally if I'm using all brand new stuff, but if you can see, this manifold is really nice and sealed onto this gasket. Gasket looks perfectly fine, almost brand new. I mean, I barely ever used it, so I'm just going to leave it how it is. The manifold's already stuck on there nice. There's no reason to use a new gasket. And a pro trick for you, if you look right here on the left corner, you can see I cut that little notch in there. The reason I do that is because when you go to put this on, it fits perfectly right there through that little, off of those fins right there. Normally, if you don't cut it, it's going to be bending all funky, and this just makes it fit nice and flush. So that's the first step. To add, try to clean this. This had a bunch of old RTV on it. I tried to clean it off as much as I could with the screwdriver. And then you take some shop towels with rubbing alcohol and wipe it down real nice, because you want the new RTV to be able to stick onto there nice and perfect. So clean this thing up if you're using a used one. If you're using brand new, it don't even matter. Alright, so I cleaned it up a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have rubbing alcohol. I had some degreaser, but it's all the same at the end of the day. You can see I cleaned off all of the old oil, cleaned off all of the old RTV, and that's going to make your new RTV stick real nice. So what you're going to do now is take your RTV. I honestly just stick it right onto the manifold, squirt it around the whole manifold, all the way around it. Then I take a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and kind of just baste it out onto the rest of it. That's probably one of the easiest ways. Well, there's 100 different ways. That don't really matter. Just get the RTV on there. And of course, you're gonna put some RTV all around these edges right here on the cylinder. And once you get the RTV on here, I would do this one first, because put the RTV on here, then go do the manifold, because then this will be good to go. Your manifold's good to go. You just grab your gasket, line it up with the holes on the manifold onto the gasket. Best way to do this is you put the screws through the manifold first, or the bolts, screws, whatever you want to call them. The bolts, put the bolts through the manifold, then put the bolts through the gasket, in that order. And that'll be the easiest way. You slide your manifold with the RTV with the bolts onto the gasket. Then of course your bolts are going to line up into these holes here. Start tightening them, and as you tighten them evenly, you want to do it even, do like 5 turns here, 5 turns here, 5 turns here, 5 more turns here. That's going to bring your gasket right on close. Tighten them up nice and snug, and you're on your way. Here's the RTV I'm talking about. This is actually the right stuff. It's high temp. Make sure you get something high temp that's gonna withhold or withstand up to the temperatures of your exhaust. This one goes up to 650. You should be plenty good with this one right here. The right stuff out of all the different kinds I've tried. I always like the right stuff. You don't have to get the right stuff. There's plenty of cheaper options. This one's a little bit more expensive, but Never had any issues. I like this one. You can see I've got a real thin flathead screwdriver that I'm going to use. Put a little bit of RTV onto the screwdriver just like that. And this is the easiest way to do this. You just slowly baste it or spread it. I keep saying baste, spread. I guess it's all the same. Slowly spread your RTV around these edges, all along the edges, every edge. Well, you're not going to believe it. I just realized this is not even the GoPed that I'm putting a new pipe on. This is the old GoPed. We will be right back. Now this is the GoPed I wanted to put the pipe on. But what I wanted to show you is if you look how much I'm pulling on that. I already took the bolts out of the manifold. See how solid that is? I can't even pull that off. That's why you want to have the gasket maker on the cylinder and in between the manifold and the gasket, because it just seals everything perfect. So don't forget about putting on the RTV onto the cylinder before you put the gasket, because as you can see, this thing's like it's bolted in, and I already took the bolts out. That's how nice it is. So you can see I might have put, you just need a real thin layer. This might even be just a tad heavy, to be honest, because when you put the gasket on there with the manifold and tighten it down, all this is going to expand. So you know what, I might even just wipe off a little bit of this, but the point of this is to show you go all the way around the cylinder. There's the manifold. You can see the RTV is spread around the entire outside of the manifold. Don't be afraid to use a little heavy hand when putting on the RTV. You're not gonna be as worried about it because like the cylinder, because this one, once you slide the pipe on, everything's gonna slide out the back and seal it up real nice in the back, and you want it to have a nice good seal. The next step, take some of this plumber's tape, Teflon plumber's tape. You're gonna take normally it all depends on basically this, the fitment of the manifold into the pipe. If it's a little bit loose, use a few wraps of this plumber's tape. This is the Jet Pro Viton O-ring manifold, and it fits pretty nice into the Jet Pro. So I'm probably just gonna do, I'll throw 2 wraps on there just for fun. There's the manifold. It's not a very good wrap job, I'll be honest. This is terrible, but it's better than nothing. It's always nice to have a little bit of Teflon tape on there. I could have done a lot better than this. It's horrible, but you know what? It really doesn't need to be perfect. This will still work better than nothing. Alright, we got the RTV on our cylinder. We got our manifold ready to go. Probably could have put a little more Teflon tape on there, but I'm not worried about it. We're going to keep moving forward. Next, you're going to put the bolts through those 2 holes. Once they pop out the back, I always suggest for the exhaust, put a little bit of red Loctite, or Loctite, thread lock or Loctite onto the back of those bolts. Not a lot. You don't got to go crazy with it. Just put a little bit. because this engine's going to vibrate so much. I had a lot of issues with these bolts backing out on me, you know, midway through a ride after, you know, 30, 40 miles, all of a sudden they're backing out on you. So it's nice. Put a little red Loctite on there. It's a little extra security. All right, if you take a look, you can see I got my red Loctite on there. I probably put more than I should have. You know, to be honest, it's a good amount of red on there. I probably went a little extra heavy, but I'm not too worried about it because for the exhaust, I mean, how often am I pulling the exhaust off? I'm not going to be pulling this thing off all the time. So I'd rather go a little heavy than light. Make sure it's nice and secure, and that'll work for me. So I'm putting this in. I made a complete mess, and I think I cross-threaded this bolt. So I'm going to use this opportunity to teach you guys not to do what I just did. I felt like it was kind of, I just rushed it, and it was kind of tight going in. I thought, get in there, get in there. Don't ever force it. If you're feeling resistance, pop it back out. Make sure you're lined up nice and try again. Because I'm like 90, maybe 94, 95% sure that I just cross-threaded this bolt. But you know what? I'm just going to keep on tightening at this point. I'm way too deep in the turnaround now. So don't do what I just did. All right, so I got them in. You can see I'm about to put the pipe on there. Take this opportunity one more time. These, you don't need to just crank them in there. Make sure they're nice and snug. Give them one tiny little extra twist just to snug them in there. But that's another reason I use the red Loctite, is so you don't have to crank these in there, because there's a chance you could snap that bolt into there and you're looking at a real headache. You don't want that. So this got to be snug. The red Loctite's going to keep them in, along with the gasket maker on the back there. You don't got to try to crank these down as tight as you can, because you're probably going to snap them, which I've done, and it is not a fun night. All right, here it is. This is the Jet Pro Race Rhino. As you can see, it's pretty obvious. This will slide right onto here. I kind of twist the pipe over a little bit, pull that bracket forward, and slide it right on there. All right, we got the pipe on there. You can see it went on nice snug fit. RTV started to pop out a little bit. Give us a nice seal. Now we're going to tighten up the bolts that go from the bracket, your pipe bracket, into your fan cover. On this Race Rhino, back here, you can see, line that up with that. See that little hole right there? This lines up with it. You got a little tiny bolt. It's going to go right there. All right, that's it. That's your basic pipe install for your GoPed. Quick, easy, simple process. Anyone can do it. Different GoPed motors and pipes are going to have different mounts, but this is basically exactly what you're going to run across when you go to install your GoPed. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got a lot of great content coming out. Thank you for watching. Oh yeah, last tip, I forgot to mention, when you're putting your bolts in here, put a little bit of blue thread locker. You don't want to, I honestly don't, I don't use the red one on this stuff. Oh no, that's red RTV. Thought I was bleeding for a minute. You put the blue one on here, or at least I do. You can put the red if you want. Personal choice. I personally run the blues on these bolts in just a tiny little squirt on the back on this one, because like I said, your engine vibrates a lot, And these could come loose too. You want to make sure all that stuff's nice and snug and it's not going to back out on you. Last tip of the day for you. There you go. There's the install. I'll be honest, I didn't even put the bolts in here yet. I got to find the bolts. That's the other thing. Make sure you find all your stuff before you start this. Thanks for watching.